Good evening and welcome to the Whisky Lover Society with me, Gert Retief, and tonight we are looking at the Glen Garioch Renaissance first chapter, 15-year-old Scotch whisky. Quite looking forward to it. It is bottled at 51.9% ABV. It is a single malt. It's from the Glen Garioch distillery. It is a bottle series. It's the first chapter, bottled in 2014. It is matured in ex-bourbon casks and also some sherry casks, but don't give us exactly the type of sherry. Bottles produced 12,000 bottles, and I did a little bit of digging online. In my online store, it used to be 90 euros for the bottle, no longer available, of course. And if you do want a bottle like this, it will cost you anything between 130 euro up to 150 euro for this bottle. Of course, it is a Highland single malt whisky. Before I go on to the nosing and tasting, please remember to subscribe. I do have more than 80% of the people that watch my videos. Quite a number have watched already. I think the last count was more than 80,000 people. So there's a lot of people that do like and watch my channel. But of course, sometimes you forget to subscribe. And of course, just a quick reminder that once we have reached the 1,000 threshold, we will use that ad revenue will be going straight towards children in South Africa. There's a lot of people that have a little bit of a difficult time, especially now still with the COVID in South Africa. So please feel free to like and subscribe, promote the channel. Hopefully we can reach the 1,000 soon so that we can start earning some revenue. 100% of that money will go to them. I also have a Patreon account. Buy me a coffee. I will put the link in the description. If you want to subscribe and give some money towards these children, again, 100% will go towards them. So on to the nosing and tasting. The Glen Garioch Renaissance Chapter 1, 15 years old. Color-wise, quite light for a 15-year-old. Well, there is a little bit of a sherry cask influence, but I don't think it's a big sherry monster. I don't think there's a long, many months or many years with regards to the sherry maturation. So a little golden color, maybe like 9 karat gold. Not a lot of legs on this one. Thin legs, so not a lot of viscosity, but they do form some nice long legs. So on the nose, cheers. That is nice. So the first thing that I do get is the lovely sweetness of it. I do get the alcohol, maybe if I do the shaky. Even with the high ABV, that's 51.9, there's a maturity to it. There's no harshness of the alcohol. You don't get that nail polish remover harshness of it. So definitely you can, on the nose, already feel that it is a little bit of a mature whiskey. Well, 15 years. So there's a little bit of a citrus note, maybe a little bit of a lemon rind. There's a little bit of a woody note, maybe something like a nice smelling wood varnish. I know sometimes I do say something smells like a wood polish or wood varnish, and people find it a little bit strange, but you get some that is quite nice. So there's a freshness as well in it, a little bit of a fresh pear. Maybe if you bake a fresh pear, put a little bit of a baking spices on it. and you finish it off with a little bit of a vanilla cream. That's quite nice on the nose. There's a little bit of a toffee note that I pick on the back. And then I also get a little bit of a peaches. But it's not a fresh peach. It's more like for me a tin of preserved peaches with a little bit of a syrup in the can. So something similar to that, but a little bit of a peachy note. I also get a nice honey note, but like a dark honey note. Now, it does have a sherry maturation. I'm not getting big sweetness of a raisin type of sweetness in it. It is sweet, but it does not remind me of raisins or dates. But it is nice on the nose. I also pick up a little bit of a different spices, and I think that comes from the sherry cask maturation. So there's a little bit of a ginger note in it, maybe a little bit of a nutmeg. I get that cinnamon, and I get a light vanilla coming from that ex-bourbon casks. And every time I go back, it just gives you a little bit more. Also a good idea, give it a little bit of time in a glass. When I did pour this one, maybe 20 minutes ago, there was that little bit of a harshness on the nose, a little bit of that alcohol sting. But with a little bit of time, it does open up nicely. I do like this one. But of course, we need to taste it as well. So on the taste, cheers. This is a strong boy. You get the alcohol. So there's a first thing that I do get is a sweetness. I get a hint of a toffee note coming out. And then of course that alcohol just tells me, oh, I'm here. It little disappears in the mouth, and when you get the heat of the alcohol, you get that spiciness of the alcohol and a hint of an oak coming out immediately. I also expect a little bit of a dryness in this. When we looked at the legs, there was not a lot of viscosity in it, and I do find it on the taste as well. Let me just try it one more time. A little bit on the dry side. There's no oily mouthfeel. There's no creamy mouthfeel to it. And of course we see that on the glass as well. It does not look very viscous. Quite runny, fast legs. Let me just give it one more. And then of course a little bit of an oak comes in. A little bit of an espresso note. But just a hint. I'm not a fan of a whiskey that has got a lot of oakiness, a lot of oak tannins in it. So this one is still perfect for me. But I think at this high ABV, maybe it's a good idea just to add a couple drops of water. If you do add water, please just put a couple of drops. And this one I'm going to put like maybe half a teaspoon of water. I'm going to try it. If it needs more water, of course, you can always add a little bit of extra water. But normally, don't put in too much. Once it's in, and you're going to be stuck with that undrinkable whiskey. So without the water, I do like it. In fact, I will drink it like this. For me, I'm getting used to the high ABV whiskeys. Sometimes water makes a big difference. Sometimes you add water and it really distracts from the nice flavors of the whiskey. So be careful. I'm going to add a little bit and see what it does. So I know on this glass I have about 20, maybe 20 milliliters left. So I am got my spoon. I've got some nice clean filtered water, and I think it is always a good idea when you put water in, make sure that it's nice filtered. Some of the water in some countries can have a lot of chlorine in it, some additional flavors that you don't want to add to your whiskey. So I've got some nice filtered water. I've got 1/4 of a teaspoon of water, so maybe 2-3 mils. And I will show you. So 6, 7, 8 drops of water, just to as a start to see if it does anything to it. Cheers. I think that is really nice. So with the water, it did open up the flavors. So I get more sweetness coming out, more cinnamon coming out, more vanillas coming out, a little bit of a butterscotch note coming out, some toffee notes. Oh, I think that takes water well, but only that couple of drops made a huge difference. I also pick up a light, dusty, oaky note. There's a little bit of a oak sawdust, just a hint of that in the background. Less spice, less of that ginger spice. It mellows out a little bit. So a little bit of that cinnamon notes coming out. More vanillas, definitely. I think I've said it already. But it really does elevate the nose quite dramatically, I think. So definitely add a couple of drops on the taste of water. Cheers. On the taste, the alcohol is definitely still there. It did not make a big difference with the alcohol, with only those couple of drops of water. But I do pick up, it's like a sweet chocolate with a toffee center in it. Definitely a little bit of a butterscotch note coming out. And now I also get a little bit of a oily creaminess coming out. And I think that is because we lowered the ABV a little bit, by not much, but it does definitely increase a little bit of a viscosity. And I think it is because of the lower ABV. So nice creamy mouthfeel to it, a little bit of an oily mouthfeel to it. I also do pick up that oaky note still. It's a little bit less intense, less espresso, more going into a little bit of a dark chocolate note. Really nice. I'm not going to add more water to it. I think for me this is perfect. But I suspect that you can add a little bit more, but be careful. If you're going to add too much, this is going to completely destroy the aromas on the nose. It's not going to taste too bad, but definitely you are going to have a bad experience. So be careful with the water. So definitely this is a winner for me. Just want to make sure I keep on going back for one more, but definitely one more. And a nice thing about making videos, once I switch the camera off, I go to my desk, I do a little bit of editing, taking all the coughs out, all the silent parts out, and of course I can then slowly enjoy my whiskey. So definitely a winner. It's definitely something that I would recommend if you can buy it. The only problem for me is the price. It's getting bloody expensive. And a little bit of a rant. I keep on seeing, especially on my online store, every time I go back to see what the prices are, I see a little bit of an increase, and it keeps on going on. And especially some of my online stores, when a bottle of whiskey comes out maybe a year ago, they give you the price 80 euros, and then when I go back 2 years later, it's still on there. Of course it's not available, but then I see it was 80 euro, now it's 120 euro, and I think to myself that it's just getting crazy. Prices are going up. It seems like on a monthly basis, And some of the YouTubers, not me of course, the big YouTubers, if they mention a whiskey, then the next day all the shops want to put their prices up. So I think sometimes that we as whiskey drinkers need to just sit back, find a cheaper alternative, find a whiskey that is budget friendly. And I think that is something that I will be looking into the future. Find some cheaper whiskies, but of course cheap does not have to be a bad quality. So I will be doing some research with regards to cheaper whiskies, and maybe do a couple of videos on something with a budget of maybe maximum €30 or maybe €40, which is already getting a little bit expensive, but something in that line. So if you would like to see cheaper whiskies, please let me know in the comment. I love talking to all my subscribers. I like to get your feedback. Tell me what you like to see, and of course I will always try to source that whiskey to see if I can do a quick review. So thank you very much for watching. Please remember to subscribe. You've come this far. I know there was a little bit of a rant. A lot of people don't want to watch it. They just want to see what is the whiskey, what does it smell like, what does it taste like, and they switch off. But you've come this far, so please remember to like and subscribe. Share the content. Let's help the people in South Africa as well. So thank you, and I see you next time. Cheers.